Okay.
They don't have a 13th floor in casinos. Why is that, Mike? Whoa! Mike's here. Mike's here. Mike alert.
It's bad luck.
It's been 2 years since I've been
every day.
But it's the 13th NFL season, college and pro football season, that you've been here in Las Vegas. So they do allow 13 seasons of wagering.
Well, it's like, although when the Red Sox won the World Series, as far as I'm concerned, that year never happened.
I get a lot of calls from people that watch me on and listen to me on your radio show, have seen me everywhere, and a lot of people know that you are from Buffalo.
Yeah.
And they want to know how you wound up from, and I usually think it's just a weather-related thing. Why would you want to be in Buffalo? But I believe
I didn't want to leave Buffalo.
I believe it was your son went to school here?
Yeah, we'd come out on vacation. Way before that, we'd come out on vacation here. And I always said if I didn't live in Buffalo and wasn't so happy there, this was where I wanted to come. But I was doing the Sabres games.
So the question is...
I was doing the Sabres games, and the team went bankrupt.
Couldn't fill the stadium.
No, it was the owner, there was like a scandal, and the team went bankrupt, and all the broadcast crew that were independent vendors, they went bankrupt. Everybody got zapped.
How was that?
I would have done that I never would have left. It was the best thing ever happened to me, because I said, if I was ever going to do it, pick up and go. And my son was going to school out here, and I moved out here.
Not to segue, because we want to talk about football.
And hockey's here, baby.
Well, not to segue. We hedge every soccer play because, as you know, we just got off the radio here on 1400 AM. We're in studio. That's why there's a big microphone in front of you. And and we were just talking about soccer and how we tell clients play to make money. Don't worry about what shape the ball is. One of the things we didn't talk about because we're limited on the air is that we hedge every soccer play with a draw because we can end in a tie. How was hockey wagering interest when you before the strike and you could end in a tie versus you must have a winner? I remember the old days in NHL when you could tie like soccer.
That was kind of pre-me. I think by the time I got here, they'd already gotten to the point where overtime existed, and there was a decision. But the fact that there's absolutely a result now,
I believe it kills Americans to watch a game in soccer and that there's no winner.
Yeah, there's an absolute decision here.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of that? Soccer would be more popular, I think, if there was a final death.
I don't know. The three-way betting, I think, is very confusing to people.
Right.
And I think that people look at it and they get bedazzled by it, and I think that actually hurts handle.
Right.
You know.
I'm gonna walk over here.
Yeah.
So
let's see.
So let's talk about these line moves. Early in the season, 13 seasons out here. Let's talk about. We'll look over. There's the camera. What have you? Is it easier or harder to beat the line in NFL versus college? Because the same questions I get answered if they go to the insidersgame.com and they purchase your early analysis, whether it's a month, whether it's a week. We know that's your early analysis. And then we know we have your late plays where you'll text me and say, man, I really like this. And then there's your in the game within the game where you're watching a game and you'll text me and say, John, this team is coming back.
How good do we do with that on Saturdays? We talked last year at halftime.
Extremely well.
Yeah.
But obviously you have to be you're an
I'm an eyeball guy.
You're an eyeball.
I'm watching games.
And I'm watching.
Saturday's my day off.
He's an eyeball guy, and I'm watching screens.
Saturday's my day off.
Right.
Seriously, till April.
Right.
That's my only day off.
That you watch games all day and work.
Well, it's my day off, and I work, and I'm watching college football from 8 in the morning or whatever until it's over.
Is it easier now because you could phone it in? You can use.
Oh, sure. App? The convenience of
but is
mobile
it easier
apps.
To win?
I think strategy, betting strategy is a big part of that. I also think getting the best of the numbers is a big part of that. I know we've discussed this a lot. I bet you I'm quirky on a lot of fronts in my life, but I probably play totals 70% of the time.
Right.
Because I think you can be correct on pace of play for an entire game, and then that funny shaped ball bounces the wrong way with 4 seconds left in the game, and some team beats you with a backdoor cover, and you're sitting there going, what just happened? But I was right for the 60 minutes of the game from a pace of play perspective. I just personally feel totals in football, hockey, basketball are are a much safer play, and I think over the course of time will reap better rewards. That's me, but I am an eyeball guy, as you said, and I'll watch pace of play. And a lot of times I would just throw an example up. Let's say a college football game. Team moves the ball up and down between the 20s, and they have 3 fumbles inside the 10-yard line. In the first half, came back, they scored 13, 14 points. Okay, so they're sitting there, and the total in the game 62. They scored 14 in the first half. Then they're gonna come back, and the total should have been, 32 and a half, 33 for the second half. But because it's 14-0, they make the total like 27 and a half. But the odds makers have so many games that are on the docket. They're not sitting there necessarily watching every game. They're looking at the score, and they're saying, okay, the math model tells me to do this for the most part. But it's like, well, wait a minute. I mean,
That's how I do it.
you
I don't use my eyeballs. I use screens.
Well, that's fine. But the one thing you don't get with that from the other side of the counter
Right.
is they're putting the number up based on here's what we're at now, here's what the total was for the game to start. But because it was this low scoring thing, they shade the total down, right? But if you had watched the game, said they should have scored 42 points in the first half. They only scored 14. Turnovers you can't predict. But if you watched that and you saw that they were going up and down the field, that can get you a value on a number in a second half total. To me, there's nothing better than the eyeball test. I think you do this every day. Mike, you do this every day. I do this every day. On the radio talking about this every day. I mean, we should know about these teams.
So what do you think about, and I know that what you do works and that you make more money than you don't make, and you lose your fair share like we all do, but it's all money management. But you also come from the horse racing love of the game. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. He's from Baltimore, Maryland. You spent many times you've been in Maryland, as you told me growing up, and you've been to the tracks plenty of times. Does the being a horse racing connoisseur,
Yes.
does that help you bet
Yes.
versus the guy that knows nothing about horse racing?
It's funny. I mean, I think you can draw so many parallels with horse racing analysis and handicapping into sports. The one is, you like
Because let me give you a perfect example, not to interrupt you. You have given us some good information, and I don't mean inside information if you're watching this. He's just handicapping analysis. And you said, look, don't go crazy, John. Go to Pimlico with a couple $100.
Yeah.
And I said,
Bet to win in place.
And I pull up to the
Second,
window
you get
because
your
I
money
don't
back.
want to fight the traffic.
right.
It's rush hour. And I pull up, and he walks out with $2,000 in tickets. I said, "What did you do?" How can I turn you down? I can't turn you down. But
Yeah, I need that kind of pressure.
But the point is, he's like my client that I'm touting on the phone, giving a pick to, who thinks that it's a lock, and it goes back to the bad money management. And then you lose, and then the next day you give me a horse, of course, 5 lengths ahead, and because we lost 2 G's. We played it for $50.
It's right. It's money management.
So if you're listening
Don't
to this,
chase.
we
Don't
have done
overbet.
it. We've done it ourselves at the racetrack, and I go back to the money management aspect. When you're getting even odds back, you're risking 110 to win 100 versus putting up 100 to win. Maybe 5,000.
We've had this discussion before. A horse, you're sitting there, and go. The horse has to fall down to lose, and he's 6-5. So basically, it's a slight plus price. And the same guy who's at the track knows is the horse that likely wins the race, but his mentality is, I'll try to beat it, is the same guy who'll bet a football game that's -3 and lay 110 to win 100, and it's a coin flip.
Right.
So it's like picking your spots when to do it. As far as the other thing with the horse racing, you always say you've got to, that's the thing with power ratings and numbers, I think people get blinded by it. They don't see the forest through the trees, and they get so sucked into their numbers. Horse racing, a horse can have a completely bad race. If you watch the replay, he got steadied, or he bobbled at the break, or the horse was fractious going into the gate. You've got to be forgiving and willing to draw a line through that. But because the horse ran so bad in a race, he should be 2-1, but because he ran so bad in that last race, he goes off at 5-1. But if he reverts back to what he's capable of, you're getting an overlaid price. So the same thing exists in football, basketball, baseball, hockey. A football team could just lay a golden size 8. Could it be they played a physical team the week before? Could it be travel, West Coast team going east? Could it be a letdown spot? All the myriad of factors that we throw in there. I'll throw one at you, like, just for argument's sake. Western Michigan and Northwestern.
Write that down.
All right, I'm actually kind of leaning to this game now to go over the total. It moved from 56 down to 52, and it moved down because Northwestern has an incredible defense. Okay?
Say that one more time.
Northwestern has a great defense. Okay?
I'm looking to see what time. 10:37. Okay, got it.
All right. So, but I guess what I'm going to get at is, it's about Western Michigan for me. Western Michigan's got their quarterback back. They've got 3 running backs, wide receivers, offensive line. It was a prolific offense last year. They're walking in to potentially a buzzsaw here, and all the money is on the under because of Northwestern's D. How it shakes out in that particular game, I think maybe it's moved too much. But how that shakes out, now, say for argument's sake, Northwestern defense is that good, and this game ends 19-16. In subsequent weeks, Western Michigan's totals are going to be 48.5 when they should be 54.5.
Right.
So it's like, because, they played that first game and they only scored this. But over the course of this season, that offense is going to be electric and they're going to be an over team. But because of whatever the result is in week 1, you're going to get value in weeks 2, 3, and 4 because of this one game and that one matchup that maybe wasn't good for them.
So
that's one team, and how many of these?
So do you play the first matchup, or do you make a note after that game and then use that as a determining factor against the next?
I looked at it.
Well, he plays every match.
Well, no, I looked at it, and it's getting to the point where I think that move is an over move.
So let's say
that I would lean to the over, but you also respect other professional opinions that are out there. So maybe it's a stay away thing, and I'll get my moment with Western Michigan in subsequent.
What
days.
happens at halftime if it's 0-0?
Well, I want to see the game.
Right.
I mean, I want to see the game.
But I've also seen matchups where it's a tale of 2 halves. It's 0-0, and then in the fourth quarter,
it blows up.
In third quarter, it's 28 points.
Or a game was 28-27.
They scored nothing.
And it's like they scored 10.
You're like, we got this.
10 in the second half.
There's no preseason
because they're
so these
burning
teams
clock.
haven't played. They haven't done
So
anything.
this is where I like what me and you discuss, which is, if you're listening to this, and we won't go too long, middling the winning wager.
Oh, I love that.
So listen up.
The best way to do something like that.
Well, let's go with this.
Is an under.
Right. So
All right.
let's go with this Western Michigan. You play the under, even though.
Okay, maybe
it's 0-0 at the
maybe
half.
that game's a bad example.
Well, okay. Well, you play the under, and then you play the over in the second half.
I want to talk. How about this? SMU, North Texas.
Okay.
I want to talk about this game a little bit. The total on that game is 69. All right.
Okay.
So, if you think, man, that's just a little too salty, and I'm not saying this is how I'm going to bet it. I'm thinking that's a high scoring game. I'm just giving you the example you're asking for. And they come out in the first half, and it's 17-14. They score. Well, let's say 14-14. They score 28. Okay, and the total on the game is 69.5.
Right.
So now the second half total should be in about the 35 range, right? But they've only scored 28 in the first half. So do the math. You're going to end up, if you play the under for the game, now you come back and you're on an under pace, then you come back and play the over in the second half. You're going to have a 12 to 13 point middle opportunity to come back and play the over, and you get a free roll to win 2 bets.
Right. The question,
but you got to find those spots.
I trade sports. I like to make money, not caring about rooting with my pom-poms. The question is, do most clients want to do that, or do most clients want to root for a team and this is too analytical for them and they could care less? So
of course they want to do it with their heart. I mean, you said I'm from Buffalo, okay? And it's funny, and it's a perception thing. I get beat up by everybody around here. God forbid if I mention the Buffalo Bills, oh, here he goes, I can't win. So I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Now, how do I approach the Bills? I want them to win desperately. The only time I bet them is when I really have a firm belief that this is a great spot, and I watch them closely. So to your point about, to avoid your heart, what I do is when I think they're going to win or I like their chances, yes, I will bet them. Other than that, I focus on totals in those games to mitigate the heart factor.
Right.
I'm not sold they're going to win this week. The number's the right number, but I do think that the offense will succeed, but I don't think they can stop them, or these two defenses are really going to. So to keep that heart thing out of it, because it is a bottom line deal, if you want to bet your team to keep the hard end of it out of it, bet the totals in the game. So then you're not miserable when your team won and didn't cover. Bet the totals. And so yes, you can bet your team, but don't let that vested interest blind you.
So will you bet again? We'll end this video with this. Will you bet against Buffalo
No.
in the NFL?
No, will I bet against them? What? Go ahead.
In the NFL, if you have you do the analysis and you just say, man, they're gonna get rocked.
Yes. Oh, and then when they played New England, and New England would lay laying 7. Yes, I bet. I've done it. I bet against them. I would tell you this: they play Miami as their most fierce rival, and the week after they play Miami, they played horribly. They play to the level of their competition, against the Jags of all teams, own them. Yeah. Oh yes. Have I done it? Absolutely. Have I done? Yes. The answer is yes. This year they get a bone thrown. They get 3 home dates in December. Miami's going up there in December. No shot. Every year. Miami in the winter in Buffalo. Boat race. They'll make the line on the game 3.5. Buffalo should be 10.5. I don't care what the records are when it happens. Mark that one down. And the other one, sit down.
Buffalo
Sit
Bill.
down.
Buffalo Brian. Go
Sit
ahead.
down. And they could end up 6-10. I don't know. It might be that kind of
value on the
But I'm
dog side.
telling you that we got a little thing going. First week of the year, Bills at Baltimore. Baltimore's laying 3. You want the subplots? Rex Ryan used to coach with the Ravens.
He's the
Tyrod
homer
Taylor,
right here.
it's
He's the homer.
only his second year in the league as a starter. All right, the guy's fresh as a daisy. Learned a boatload last year. Ravens loved him, but he was behind Flacco. Tyrod Taylor going against his old team.
Want to hear something out of
The
you,
Bills
Mike?
had a bunch of injuries in the
I'm waiting for him to finish.
It's coming. And the way and the expectations are down for the Bills because of all the injuries they've suffered. The cherry on top of the sundae for you in week 1, Ed Reed is going to be a head coach in the NFL, and he is now he's a Hall of Famer.
Predictability.
He is the Bills' secondary coach. This defense in preseason is light years ahead of where they were with Rex Ryan's defense in terms of communication because of Ed Reed, who knows everything about the Baltimore Ravens.
But doesn't that pump up the home crowd in Baltimore?
It's opening day. They're going to be pumped up to begin with. I'm just saying. No, you know what's never.
What's the current opening number?
It's 3.
Right.
I mean, you know what's never taken into account? It drives me insane. Coaches aren't taken into account.
Well,
Are
Marvin,
you, no, they're not.
Cincinnati, when he went to Baltimore, was taking it.
But coach, in terms of an individual game wagering line, a coaching matchup is not taken into account. The other thing that's not taken into account are special teams. I don't understand that for the life of me. I say that to odds makers and people
especially
since
the
I
kicker
got it.
we had for
They look
Baltimore
at me
Stoker
like
was
10
in
heads.
lights out.
After 11 weeks in a season, okay, if a team is number 1 in special teams, if their punt returns averaging 15 yards a game, their kickoff returns averaging 28, 29 yards a game, their coverage teams are pinning teams inside the 10 and forcing turnovers, and they're one of the top-ranked special teams in football, which means they're winning the field position battle with regularity because of the special teams. How is that not factored into a line on a game? It's completely ignored. Completely ignored.
So what I will say to everybody, since it's completely ignored, is we were going to do a short video. We're approaching 20 minutes because
Well, 'cause once we start, we
I don't
can't
need to get
stop.
my feedback on my Ravens.
Go
Mike
ahead, get it,
survived the
go ahead.
flight here.
So
ahead.
here's
Oh yes, you're
Go
going to
ahead.
debate.
he's got Ed Reed in the mix. Ed Reed hasn't played in the league in a meaningful game in years. It's not going to matter.
True.
In this situation, we have a completely new defense. They're running a different scheme, but the value is they do really well against dual threat quarterbacks. Tyrod Taylor has never done well against a zone in the back,
Okay.
and more of a blitzing scheme like Dan Pease runs. So I think because they're on the road, that number of 3, I think the Ravens win by a touchdown simply because the Bills' secondary is weak this year. I think that's the one.
Oh no. Oh no.
They have some guys that have to prove their worth personally. They don't have
their
coverage.
corners are lockdown corners.
Safeties are
Gilmore and Darby are lockdown corners.
Now, again, maybe to you, I just haven't seen him year after year.
Gilmore's making $14 million a year on a franchise tag.
Darby
was the runner-up as Rookie of the Year last year.
My personal opinion.
Here's
he's got good analysis.
I know, and I'll here's the other thing. So what he's saying, then you could lean to the under. Now, if you just listen to us talk, then the difference in the game, who runs the ball better?
Exactly.
Who exactly? The Bills were the #1 rushing team in the NFL last year. Case closed.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm saying. We got Buffalo. We got Buffalo against Baltimore. I will say this.
We have a friendly bet.
21 minutes of pure information. At the 10-minute and 37 mark, he broke down a college game and gave you a free complimentary selection. You can get his games direct at theinsidersgame.com. Now, I get a lot of text when people watch these videos and they say, I don't understand. You can go to thesyndicateinsider.com. You can get my games direct at 1-800-880-7507. You can listen to me again live in studio at 1400 a.m. at sportsbookradio.com next Tuesday.
Every
Tuesday. But he has his site, I have my site. But when he calls me at halftime, he's not calling his subscribers because he's too busy. The way you're going to get that late information is to get it directly from me. I am the pipeline directly to him when he's doing the eyeball test, the game within the game. That's the definition of a syndicate. When I say here on these videos, you're not paying me for what I know, you're paying me for who I know. You're paying me to get access to guys like him because you know what? It is his day off on Saturday and Sunday, and he's sitting there watching.
Talking to him.
And he's talking to me, but I'm talking to you. So pick up the phone, call me. He's got 13 years just in this town.
This must have been an important video because, A, you've got glasses on and look very professorial,
Thank you.
and you're not wearing sunglasses indoors. This must have been an important video. Oh, there we
Pick
go.
up the phone and call me at 1-800-880-7507.
You look really smart.
And I
with
will
those
say one thing to
glasses
you.
on.
This Thursday, you'll watch this today. It's going to be September. The question is, make it a September to remember. We know football is coming. We talk about it every year.
Can't wait.
We can't wait,
It's
but
here.
we also don't want to see you go broke because you unload on playing every game that you're a fan of, you're an alma mater of, you went to college of. It's not necessary. You don't have to play every game just because it's on.
You know, John, it's the last thing, because I know we gotta skip.
Exactly.
But you know what? The halftime thing's a big thing.
It is a big thing.
And we kind of broach that subject with people,
Right.
and we get response for our plays and everything.
Right.
We really think we can do really good things with the halftime plays if
Exactly.
people were willing to get on board with that and say, okay, we're
know-
going to listen to your philosophy and see the success ratio. People want to bet the whole game. You're very diligent doing this. The halftime play is a big deal, and I think it is a good service.
And I've seen him throw away games. I'll say this: when you trade a stock, you put a stop loss in. You've called me up sometimes and said, "Kid, throw the game away." Bet the other side. It's a loser. And a lot of guys can't stomach that at halftime, saying they have hope at halftime.
Tell them finally. We got
exactly.
the studio.
Exactly.
The guys are coming. Tell them the story. We were out at Sunset Station. You were there. It was about 2 years ago.
The Detroit
And
Red Wings.
you walk up to me and say, I got a buddy, he's got a 14 parlay going, and he's out of his mind excited.
Right.
And he needs the Buffalo Sabres against Detroit as a plus $3 dog, and the Sabres were up 3-0.
And I figured he'd be rooting for him.
And what did I say to you?
He's done.
I said he's toasting a stick. I said if they would put up in-game wagering on that, Detroit down 3-0, if they'd have given me 8-10 to 1 that they'd come back and win that game, I'd have gone there with 2 fists. What happened?
Loser.
Detroit came back and ripped their heads off. So again, it's knowing who you're dealing with, and don't get blinded by maybe things that are going on in games that are anomalies. But then you'll find in-game, you'll find overlaid opportunities and value in a number It's all sports.
Exactly.
It's all sports.
Pick up the phone, give us a call, theinsidersgame.com and
blast.
thesyndicateinsider.com. Don't make me switch again. Good day and good luck.